Good morning, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving Eve. As we try to top yesterday's early edge show, Joe Neuenfeld in the chat, he says, how do we top yesterday? Ladies and gentlemen, we don't. I encourage you, even though most of the picks have come and gone, not all of them, but most of them, go back and watch yesterday's early edge. Just trust me on that one. Let's take a look at how those picks did. Again, we have a couple of picks pending from that show, including my NFL pick, but we went 3-3, including a plus 135 hit. So we end up largely breaking even here thanks to Buckets, both of his plus money plays, but we probably lose just a few cents of juice, and that's not where we want to be. We want to at least be in the positive, whether it's big or small, and we're going to do that. We've got a very interesting show today because we don't just have one soccer capper for Champions League. We've got two. We've got Martin Green, we've got Buckets, we've got Larry, we've got Propstarz, and I don't know, Proppy, if Goose is making an appearance today, but I just caught a glimpse of Goose, and she looked as beautiful as ever. But Proppy, I got to start with Martin and Buckets because I'm trying to promote maybe some sort of rivalry. They're both on the show at the same time. Buckets, how you feeling? You got somebody kind of flanked to your right. Are you feeling? I mean, you're not alone here. Maybe Martin takes over today. Are you guys in some sort of competition?
Sia, I am feeling absolutely capitulated today. After the silliness of the show yesterday, I put on my best turtleneck and chain. I picked up a suit from Goodwill. I am in serious mode this afternoon, so expect me to extrapolate on some of my plays later on in the show.
Okay, so inside joke here. Buckets was trying to use some big words. He used both of them improperly. Martin Green, how you doing today? And how do you feel sharing the floor with your friend Buckets?
I'm delighted to be sharing the floor with my friend Buckets. It's been a long time. I think he swallowed a thesaurus, but it seems to be working out well for him. And yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking down some soccer games. Still buzzing from Arsenal's famous 5-1 victory over Sporting Lisbon last night. I had that as a show, as a site play at plus 125. So I hope a few of you tailed that. And yeah, hopefully we can get a couple of winners today too.
All right, Propstarz, before we get into official picks, correct us if we're wrong here, but that is Goose, right?
That is Goose live in the flesh, guys. Good morning. And yeah, it's been a while since he's been on stream. So he's been chomping at the bit here and missed everybody in the chat as well as our incredible panel, Sia, and you as well. He's been asking to see when he's going to be able to get on stream. So considering this is our first morning show from my new location, Propstarz HQ, Goose is locked in and we're ready to go.
All right. Larry, I got to ask you something because before, trust me, we're getting into our first official picks in about 30 seconds. But Paul in the chat, Paul L says, hey, Sia, it's EK. Great to be here today. Of course, he is quoting Eric Casillas from yesterday's show, particularly at the end there. That's a great quote, Paul. Larry, did you catch yesterday's show, and did you laugh and giggle as much as everybody else did?
I loved it. I loved the 1920s radio delay that EK somehow was on from his state-of-the-art studio with the random answers 20 minutes after the question. You got to go watch it.
It was truly unbelievable. Buckets, you're going to give our first official picks there. I can't get my uncontrolled laughter out of my head. I can't get yours, Mackenzie Brooks, and then EK just not privy to anything that's going on because he's on delay. I don't know if you have any reaction to that. It still warms my heart, but we have two soccer picks to go, and then Martin's going to give us some picks too, but you've got the floor, my friend.
See, I'm going to give out my two plays, and I would love to hear the guru's opinion on them because he is my mentor. I am here because of him, and I'm always curious on his thoughts here. And I'm going to start with Celtic. They are playing at home, and whoa, bad start, Guru. Celtic taking on Club Brugge at home. And when you see Celtic at home, there is only one way you can possibly bet this side, and that is betting on goals. They have played 4 Champions League matches so far. They have scored a massive 9 goals, and they've conceded a massive 9 goals. But what we need to focus on here is specifically how their home fixtures have gone. Celtic beat RB Leipzig 3-1 at home and beat Slovan Bratislava 5-1 at home. Celtic are one of those clubs that when they play at Celtic Park in front of their home fans, they morally, mentally, physically, spiritually beat you down. So the fact that we can get 1.5 team total Sia at minus 110 in a match in which I think Celtics score at least 3 goals, that is tremendous value and something I will take every single time in a must win for Celtic. For my second play, we are going to Dinamo Zagreb taking on Borussia Dortmund. And I'm keeping this one simple. It's a little bit of juice, but I actually gave this out as a site play, so it's something you want to check out here. And that line is moving in our favor. I am taking over 2.5 goals at -135. Dortmund are currently 10th on the Champions League table. 4 games played, they've scored 13 goals while conceding 6. Meanwhile, Dinamo Zagreb in their 4 games have scored 10 while conceding 12. These are 2 teams that are playing much different in European competitions than they are domestically. Dortmund right now in the Bundesliga, they're a hard team to bet on. They can have some random 0-0s. They can have random 5-0s. They're just a weird club. But in Champions League specifically, when you see Dortmund play, especially on the road, you just got to take the over and then just root for goals. That's all I'm doing today.
All right. Well, you asked for Martin Green's reaction. Martin, any reaction to those 2 picks?
Yeah, I like the Dortmund pick. That sounds great to me. I think they should win that game, and I can see goals in that one. That sounds good to me. I'll be tailing that. I'm always a little bit unsure with Celtic because I tried to fade them a couple of times earlier this season, and it didn't really work out for me. But they seem to be playing well. Club Brugge don't have the strongest defense, so yeah, I can see that one paying off. I'm on the fence about that one, but I definitely like the Dortmund pick.
All right. Well, 1 for 2 isn't bad. Maybe that's what we'll see on the recap screen tomorrow, but we're rooting for 2 for 2. We have a question, Buckets, from Jeff Stenberg. He says, how do we feel about, and Martin, I'll probably bounce this off you as well, of course. How do we feel about Portsmouth, Millwall at both teams to score at +110?
I'm going to give that one straight to the Guru because that is a league that is definitely more in his wheelhouse.
Go ahead, Martin. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, Portsmouth are having an absolutely terrible season, as a lot of people expected. I think Millwall should score. Millwall are pretty decent in front of goal, and Portsmouth shocking defensively. So I think Millwall definitely score. Whether Portsmouth get on the score sheet, it's kind of 50-50. So yeah, quite like that, but not an official play for me. I looked at all the championship games today, and it's quite a tough card. You've got a lot of high-scoring teams playing a lot of low-scoring teams. Can't say I found a great deal of value. So I think the Champions League offers a bit more value today.
All right.
I did notice someone in the chat saying that me and Bucket should do a parlay. So that sounds pretty good. Maybe we can come up with 1 leg each. If you're looking for like a heavy favourite, I quite like PSV Eindhoven to win. So maybe think of something that will go with that.
All right, Buckets, you're on the clock. You have something to think about to join in that community soccer parlay there. I did want to point out there was, Amags is in the chat. So I miss Amags on the show. Amags, thanks for being in the chat. Anybody ask whatever you want to Amags. Larry Hartstein, very active in the chat as well. And Larry, you've got, football picks that you're putting into SportsLine on the daily, it seems like. I've got a football pick for tomorrow, and I do want to mention before I give out my football pick, it's going to be, Prop, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be me, you, Mackenzie Brooks, and Mike McClure tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, the time of this show, but instead of like your regular early edge show, it's going to be a football-centric show. We're going to take you through, us four are going to take you through every single game, the 3 games on Thanksgiving with our favorite plays like we do on Early Edge Primetime. Will just be a more rapid version of that since we have 3 games to cover. You're not going to want to miss that show. Props, sides, first touchdown scores, maybe community parlays, same game parlays, things of that nature, maybe a goose. Who knows? You'll have to attend and find out tomorrow at 10 o'clock. That's our NFL Thanksgiving slate betting show. Well, one of my bets is going to be Caleb Williams, over 227.5 passing yards. Listen, Caleb Williams has been much better since Thomas Brown has taken over for Shane Waldron. And we're seeing not only him just be a better quarterback, but when you line that up with the fact that the Bears probably aren't going to be able to run the ball very well against the Detroit Lions because nobody really does. They force passing game scripts. I think Caleb Williams is going to have to chuck it around the yard a ton in a negative game script. He's got Rome Odunze. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got Cole Kmet. And, he's got DJ Moore, too. He's got all of his pass catchers healthy. And, again, in a trailing game script, we saw what happened last week. He had like 350 yards. Now, granted, a lot of that game went to overtime. A lot of that was in the fourth quarter. But I see a similar situation for him having to throw in the third and fourth quarter in this one. And I see them throwing in the first and second quarter too. So I think this number's a little low. It's 229.5 in a lot of places. I'd probably play it up to 231.5. And if you read my SportsLine pick, I also like Caleb Williams passing attempts prop of 33.5, over 33.5 pass attempts. And Proppy, it sounds like you kind of like that one too.
I like that one quite a bit, Sia. I believe it was 12 was the number of screen passes that were schemed up last week for Caleb Williams. Connected, I want to say, on 11 of them for 90 yards. So certainly the Bears making a concerted effort to get him high success rate as far as completions are concerned, and manufacture some yards close to the line of scrimmage, take advantage of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen's yards after the catch. And we've seen him put together arguably his best 2-week stretch of the season, talking about Caleb Williams here against a tough Minnesota defense last week. So I'm encouraged. I'm bullish. I think the offensive coordinator change has certainly helped, and I do love that attempts prop.
Yeah, Rick Funcannon says he likes this play quite a bit as well. He likes the completions, which probably goes with what you're saying. So I think the completions and the attempts can kind of work in tandem. I still think Caleb is going to be a largely inefficient quarterback, but I still think he can hit those completions. And one thing I love about those short area throws that we're seeing with him, with Thomas Brown taking over, is it like they're going to be successful here and there because they're short area throws, low A dot to guys like DJ Moore. That's going to extend drives, and it's going to extend the possibility of those pass attempts on, whether it's a drive in the second quarter or the fourth quarter. You're getting a couple more first downs than you expect. You're getting more pass attempts as well. So probably it sounds like you had some follow-up.
Yeah, I actually misspoke when I said attempts. I like the completions. That's the other one that you're on. So yeah, I prefer that out of the trio. But yeah, like that quite a bit. Also love the matchup against Detroit, considering they're a pass funnel, and likely Chicago is going to be playing from behind, forced to air the ball out. So very good look.
All right. If you want to make that bet, I've got an idea. Let's go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right. Well, Proppy just helped me with my pick. Now we got to hear his picks, and I believe we're headed to the NBA. We're going to hear his picks. We're going to hear Larry's picks. We're going to finish off the community parlay in soccer, and we still got to hear Martin's picks. A lot to do. We'll hear it right after this message.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
We're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Propstarz, NBA. What are we looking at?
Yes, here we're looking at a pair of props. Great slate tonight, by the way. Absolutely love both of these spots. Likely going to have a couple more play as the day progresses, but we're going to start with two of my favorite props on the board. We're going to fade LaMelo Ball at a gigantic number here, under 33.5 points. LaMelo Ball scoring a ton of points for the depleted Charlotte Hornets, averaging 31 points per game. That's second in the NBA thus far this season, coming off of a 50-point game. Prior to that, had 44 points, I believe. So definitely not shy as well. He's averaging 24 shot attempts per game. That leads the NBA. He has a green light in that Charlotte offense, playing without Miles Bridges, Trey Mann, and really just Brandon Miller and LaMelo both have a green light and are hoisting up a ton of shots. Not very efficient, but he's playing fairly good basketball. But 33.5 points, or it might be 32.5, depending on the book you have access to, is simply just too big. This is an auto fade for me, especially in a difficult matchup against Miami. Miami, being a divisional foe of the Charlotte Hornets, have had tremendous career success. I typically don't really care much about how a team has performed against an individual player throughout his career, but the Miami Heat have always held LaMelo in check. 12 games against them. He's averaged 17 points per game on just 35% shooting. The Heat, both this season and over the past 3 or 4 years, are always good defensive-minded team, but they're very good at stopping opposing backcourts, specifically opposing point guards, which is also the case this year. They're top 5 against the position. Also, they play at a slow pace as well. We have a low projected total here. And if LaMelo Ball goes off for 34-plus points against this Miami Heat defense, I will tip the cap to him. But this is just an automatic fade for me. And again, I'd play this one at 32.5 as well, if that's the only number you have access to. And then we'll take an over here on Brandon Ingram. We're going to go over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Brandon Ingram. getting a big discount on this combination line. I like all of Brandon Ingram's props tonight. Playing against the Toronto Raptors, the Raptors being one of the ideal matchups in the NBA. They play poor defense. They also play at a fast pace. That recipe, as we know, if you play NBA props, is certainly the recipe for a potential spike or ceiling game. This Pelicans team also very depleted as well. No Zion, no DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy as well as questionable for this. Ingram's actually questionable, but I do anticipate him playing, especially if we look at the point spread, considering the Pelicans are 2.5-point favorites. I do think the odds makers are anticipating Brandon Ingram playing, but shocked that this one is as low as it is. I expect this one. I think the true number should be 34.5. Wouldn't shock me if it ultimately closes at 33 or 34.5. I'd play this one up to 32, 33.5 even. Brandon Ingram, it's a multi-unit bet for me personally to go over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And I also love LaMelo Ball under 33.5 points.
All right. I heard multi-unit there. That doesn't mean you have to bet multi-units, but it does mean that there's extra confidence from Proppy in that bet. So do with that what you will. Larry, I got to ask you real quick before we get to Martin's soccer picks. The Discord is just really hot and heavy lately, and we've got all different kinds of channels for NBA, NFL. I noticed there's a DFS channel. By the way, the FFT DFS show is at 11 o'clock on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel. It's me, Mike, and Meg Schaup. So join us in 40 minutes for that. But Larry, talk to me a little bit about Discord, because I know some of our experts like Proppy are going to be featured in the Discord for everybody to kind of ask people like him or me or you or Buckets or Martin questions. Talk to us a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, starting next week, we're going to have live chat with experts like Proppy. We're going to start on Tuesday and Wednesday with NBA props. Ask him anything. This is a guy you could bounce off any player, any prop, and he will have an opinion. It may not be bet it or don't bet it, but it will be good information and valuable as you decide whether to place that wager. So go to the SportsLine homepage if you're a subscriber and click join the community. We're up to nearly 1,300 people. Mike McClure is going to be doing live chat, Sia, and others. Check it out.
All right. Absolutely love that. Let's move on to some more soccer. I know we have to finish off the Guru and Buckets parlay, but Martin, you've got a couple of plays of your own. What are they?
I do see it. Thank you very much. The biggest game today sees Liverpool host Real Madrid at Anfield. Liverpool are on a 5-game winning streak right now, well clear of their closest rivals at the top of the Premier League table. So they're just going to be surging with confidence right now. Meanwhile, Real Madrid have an injury crisis in defence. They look particularly vulnerable down the flanks with Carvajal injured. So I think Liverpool's wingers, Salah and Diaz, could really run riot in this game. However, Liverpool conceded 2 goals against the struggling Southampton side at the weekend. So they're not exactly watertight at the back either. Real Madrid are going to be missing their star player, Vinicius Jr., and fellow Brazilian forward Rodrigo. But the likes of Kylian Mbappe and Jude Bellingham could still cause plenty of problems for Liverpool's defence. So I'm just going for a classic, both teams to score an over 2.5 goals bet in that one. But yeah, I quite like a sort of anytime goal scorer bet on someone like Salah as well. And just quickly looking ahead to the weekend's games, I'm going to combine Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain for a simple moneyline parlay at odds of -115. Arsenal look back to their best, after captain Martin Ødegaard returned from injury. They've now scored 8 goals in their last 2 games, including that blowout victory last night. I think they should be too strong for West Ham on the road. Meanwhile, PSG should easily outclass Nantes, who are on a 4-game losing streak in Ligue 1. That's -115. If you want more value, I'd throw in Barcelona to beat Las Palmas at home, and that'll take it up to plus money.
All right. And before we move on to Larry's picks, Buckets, do we have another side to that community parlay that we're doing live on the show?
We do. We've got the Martin Green Buckets Best Friends Forever Champions League parlay. He gave out PSV on the money line. I am adding also in Champions League Girona just to score against Sturm Graz. That brings you to -120 parlay together. It seems like a very easy parlay piece because Sturm Graz has conceded in every single Champions League game they've played this season, and Girona, coming back from international break, have looked monstrous. They finally got their core players back. They beat Espanyol 4-1 over the weekend with 4 goals in 25 minutes. I think this one's a no-brainer, Guru.
Agree. That sounds like a great addition to the 2-leg parlay. I think we got it in the bag.
I think we've got it in the bag. All right, let's move on to Larry. I got to give you credit, Larry, because we've been talking about Discord here and there on these shows, and we're getting a lot of feedback in the chat. And you've been one of the people that's been the most active, kind of spearheading this whole thing, or one of the many that have spearheaded this whole thing. Jeff Hatley says the Discord is absolutely amazing. Some great conversations and takes in there. I know Eric David had just said something about he had a question on, I think it was Monday Night Football. I got back to him. RJ White, who's been very active, got back to him. And really good stuff going on in the Discord. But you've got to play for Thanksgiving for football, but you've got to play for the NBA tonight. What are they?
Yeah, and I take a little issue with that because I would say it's my boss, RJ White, the NFL authority, who has really spearheaded the overall atmosphere and intelligent chat that is going on in the Discord. And I'm getting some great ideas and great looks from the info in there from a lot of the subscribers. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going NBA. Been doing one prop a day, just trying to laser focus in on one thing. And Isaiah Hartenstein has been back for 2 games now, and he has been exactly what the Thunder needed. He's put up 27 and 29 points and rebounds. These were both easy matchups against the Blazers and the Kings, and now he's against the Warriors. So it's definitely a tougher matchup, but he's playing a little over 30 minutes a game. There's no Chet Holmgren. And this guy, he's just a little bit undervalued because he didn't start until Mitchell Robinson got hurt last year. And then the Thunder gave him $87 million, and people were like, whoa, $87 million. But he does deserve it. This guy hits those soft jumpers in the lane, which I love to see. I'm going to keep playing him right now until the market adjusts him up to, a few more points and rebounds than this. And then tomorrow on Thanksgiving, Rico Dowdle has taken over the backfield for the Dallas Cowboys. 40 snaps to only 13 for Zeke Elliott in the last game. He's had a bunch of targets each of the last several weeks. And the one thing the Giants can still do well is rush the passer, led by Dexter Lawrence. So I think Cooper Rush is going to get the ball out of his hand quick to Rico Dowdle. I went over 14.5. I'm seeing it's at 15.5 now. Still play it over that number. I wouldn't go higher than 15.5. If you watch the Bucs game against the Giants, 8 catches for the running backs on 8 targets for 81 yards. So plenty of success throwing to the running backs. I just probably need 1 or 2 catches to get this prop.
All right. We've got an NBA pick from Larry, and we've got an NFL pick from Larry. Don't forget, there's a lot more picks. I mean, we got the early edge. It's a microcosm of what we have on SportsLine. So make sure all you SportsLine members, you check out SportsLine. Proppy, go ahead.
Trust Larry to take an NBA prop with his cousin Isaiah. So, no big surprise there.
That is funny. Okay, before we get out of here, we are running low on time, but Buckets and Martin, I just want to run things by you real quick. Was there something in the chat that you needed to address? Martin, I'm going to start with you. It's a big soccer day. It's a big soccer show. Anything you need to address, Martin?
I had lots of questions flying in, so thank you everyone for making the chat so vibrant and interactive today. A lot of questions about Aston Villa Juventus. Could probably see that one being an unders type of game. I think 1.75 goals per game so far for Aston Villa in the Champions League this season. Don't think that's going to be particularly high scoring. There's a few more. Brad's got a crazy bet taking place in India if anyone's interested. But keep the questions coming in. I'll keep answering them while we're talking.
Buckets, anything you saw?
Well, I just want to say that yesterday we saw the most Champions League goals in a single match day since October 1st, 1997. And what I don't want people to do is assume because we saw goals yesterday, we're going to see that same amount today. Be very careful betting on some of these matches because, as Martin already mentioned, there's a lot of under teams playing today. So teams like Aston Villa and Juventus, just because they're big names, do not expect big goals. So just be careful. There's no need to bet every game. Find your spots and be smart with it.
Paul L is on fire here. Larry, I think you're reacting to him when you say this just doesn't get old. Paul says, hey, see, it's EK. The Yankees are definitely taking the series over the Dodgers. That's a play on the delay that EK was on yesterday. That's really, really funny stuff. That's going to be an ongoing reference and joke. All right. We do have to get out of here. You all know so many more bets, so much more content coming your way. Don't forget about the Thanksgiving show for the 3 NFL games starting. Like that show's at 10 o'clock. We're going through every single game. Me, Propstarz, Mackenzie Brooks, Mike McClure. And of course, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s. Let's take a look at the recap screen, though, before we get out of here. Caleb Williams over 227.5 pass yards. That's going to be on tomorrow's show at 10 o'clock. That's one of many props that I'll probably have for tomorrow morning. Martin Green, Liverpool, Real Madrid. Both teams to score plus over 2.5 at -125. And moneyline parlay, Arsenal plus PSG -115. Let's stick with soccer. Bucket, Celtic, team total over 1.5 at -110. And Dynamo Zagreb, Dortmund over 2.5 -135. Larry Hartstein, Sia Nejad over 20.5 points and rebounds at -105. And tomorrow, Rico Dowdle over 14.5 receiving yards at -109. Propstarz, LaMelo Ball under 33.5 points at -118. And a play he really seems to like, Brandon Ingram over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists at -120. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, there was no topping yesterday's show, but this was also a great show. Absolutely loved having Martin and Buckets on the show. We're going to have to do that again. Larry Hartstein with us, Propstarz with us. What an amazing crew. And let's not forget, and let's thank Jake. Jake is so good on the 1s and 2s, kind of organizing this show, putting it all together during, before, and after. So good stuff there. We've got a lot to be thankful for on the early edge. Thank you for joining us. We're going to see you very soon. Stick with the content here. Stick with SportsLine. Turn your notifications on. A lot headed your way. Have a happy Thanksgiving Eve. We'll see you on Thanksgiving. Let's have a positive day, everyone. This is The Early Edge. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.